Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of going round two with the one and only Combate America's veteran, Flyweight star. He is a super estrella. He is one and only Malicious Michael Reyes. Michael, what's going on, my man?
Just hanging out. Weekend's finally here. Not that the weekend feels any different than every other day, but it's the weekend. So I'm relaxed right now, just hanging out. The week of training's pretty much done. I might do some active recovery, but I'm feeling good. I feel better every day, so everything's good.
That's brilliant. Now I want to touch on, you said active recovery, because that almost sounds like a paradox. Active, but you're recovering. So what does the process look like?
Like stuff that doesn't really feel like a workout, but it is. Like I'll do yoga for a little bit. Like instead of doing an hour, I'll just do positions until I feel like loosened up and I feel like centered and balanced. Or me and my fiance will ride the bike. We'll ride around. Like it doesn't feel like we're really getting a workout, but it's just more about getting out. Seeing the city and riding around. So like those kind of things, going to the beach, walking on the beach doesn't really feel like a workout. But then I look at my Fitbit and I got more steps in, so that's what we consider active recovery. So just kind of hanging out, doing somewhat sporty things.
Hey, that's cool, man. That's the Spice Girl, there was a Sporty Spice, right? She do all things active. So I think theoretically, if you were a Spice Girl, you'd be Sporty Spice.
I'd be Sporty Spice, yeah. I like Sporty Spice. My favorite Spice Girl.
Hey, there you go. That's dope. That's so dope, man. But dude, we got a hell of a lot of feedback on the last one you were on earlier this week, and a lot of people were kind of puzzled the fact that it was almost like when Joe Rogan had Josh Barnett on the most recent time, and they're basically expelling philosophies, and they're like, wait. I thought this was supposed to be like an MMA show, but much like Josh Barnett did with Rogan, you did that across my fan base here on this podcast, man. So, what do you think about it? Like the fact that people just thought you're like some pugilist and what have you.
Yeah, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that I'm not just the guy who's like, oh, I want to fuck people up and like, oh, fuck this guy, like, oh. I'm the best. I don't really need to say that, like I said, my personality's, I think, like if I were my opponent, watching like how I think and watching how I feel, my philosophy towards life and fighting and my mentality, like I think that's more scary than if I were to just be like, hey, well, you, I'm gonna fuck you up. I like to express myself, and I feel like me expressing myself only makes like my career a little bit more profound, like I'm not just a guy that gets in there and fights. I'm actually a person with real thoughts, real beliefs, real philosophy, like you said. So I really appreciate people taking note of that. It was a fun interview, and I like doing it, and like I love fighting. Fighting is my passion, but when I'm not training, when I'm not in camp, I love to be a regular person. I love to, to do regular things. So I like to show more of that than, what people can look up on YouTube already.
No, 100%. And it's funny because we used I used a lot of wrestling references in the last podcast, but Jim Ross used to call Triple H the cerebral assassin, right? Which, again, that's another paradox, right? How could you be thoughtful but also want to assassinate somebody? But I mean,
Yeah.
I think that kind of moniker lives well within you, good sir.
Yeah, and if we're talking about my last fight, I was so scared. I was scared shitless. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to fight. I was like about to step up on the steps. And I'm looking like, damn. And like moments before that, Oscar De La Hoya and Mario Lopez came up to me, and they went to the VIP that was like right where we walked out from. So they passed by me and they're like, échale ganas, chingalo, like just fuck them up, and fist bumps, and then I'm just like so in the zone, and then like right before I'm about to step up, I'm like, did I just meet Mario Lopez right now? Did he just, like Oscar De La Hoya, like one of the most successful boxers during boxing and after his career, like is just told me to fuck him up. Like I was kind of taken out like of my zone. I was like, holy shit. And I was like, okay, I'm about to go out. I was so scared about doing that. And like I was telling you the other day, like Malicious and Michael are two totally different people. And that when I took my first step on that ramp, I felt like both. I felt like I was in tune with myself as a person, but the monster within me was out. Like the monster was in control, but I was also there. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my fights, I kind of just blank out, and the monster comes out. And the monster's a monster. They don't really think. They just tear shit up, and it's a hard balance. And the last fight that I had, I really felt like I was so in tune with who I was as a person, and like with that monster, like that Jackal and Mr. Hyde, like I finally found a balance between the two. And when I fought really smart, really consciously, but I was also going to fucking rip his head off. So, and it ended up happening quick. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that was we're talking about Combate Reyes, right? Which it happened at the UFC Galen Center, which that was probably the most star-studded. Obviously, Combate has made iterations in LA before. They were at like 3 straight. I think the first time that they touched down was like literally the first 3 nights at the Exchange LA, right? And your teammate fought on that. Did you fight on one of those? The 3 Monday?
Yeah. Well, let me see. I fought in Long Beach before that.
Okay.
Before that, it was Estrellas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I fought Heinrich in the Estrellas, and then they did like the Reinas. They did like 2 or 3 cards of that. Yeah. So they. I don't think I was on that card, but yeah. Combate was pushing out shows like left and right.
Yeah. And that last one at Galen Center, I would think that would be like the crown jewel of what they did, because like I attended like 2, when they had the shows at the Exchange LA, it was like 3 consecutive Monday nights, and I think I went to 2 out of 3 of those. And like the first one I went to was like the first time like I kind of met Froggy, but like he had this crazy fucking knockout, and I think it might have been Ernie. It was either Ernie, but somebody in like the crew, right? Yeah, but like Froggy got up on the cage and went like that and whatever. And I just remember this. I think she might have been like the bell ringer or timekeeper or something like that. But she was like a African American lady, but she had a dress which was like a referee shirt, but like cut up at the bottom, almost like the Flintstones, like Wilma. Like,
okay.
Yeah, and she was, kind of composed throughout the night, and she had her like stopwatch on and whatever, right? And then like Ernie, Ernie probably went like right over her to grab Froggy, and she went back like the hood came out in her. She was just like, "Motherfucker, what?" Like what? And
Oh, you know what? That was Simon. That was
it was
Simon.
Simon. Yes, it was
Yeah.
Simon. It's the hat.
Yeah. Yeah, he got up on there. There's been so many times like our hood comes out, you know. Well, I mean hers did, but like, so did Simon's. He's like, hey, my boy just won. Like, who cares about these rules? You know, I'm like, go to the cage. And yeah, like who's it? Turtle fought on for the Liddell and Ortiz card, and I remember, oh, we only are supposed to have this many cornermen, but I actually like stuck. I found my way to cage side, and like they kept telling me back up, move, and I kept moving. And then when he won, I went, I snuck into the cage, and one of the guys, man, he's such a buzzkill, but he works for the commission. He was like, I could take away your win, and you know, I'm like, oh, really, you gonna make a big deal? So I could take away your win because of this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. I'm like, bro, there's a picture. Like, I'm pretty sure you're in one of my victory pictures. And yeah, and I looked it up, and yeah, he was in my picture. I'm like, you don't know who I am, but you were in the cage with me. Like, that just goes to show how good you are at your job. And then even in the picture, he's just like, looks like he just wants to kill somebody's fun. So I call him Buzzkill every time I see him. I'm like, hey, Buzzkill. So, yeah,
not to like you know call people out, but I think it's Sean. I think it's Sean from.
I don't know, dude. But yeah, it's like every time I've won with him around, like he's like, don't celebrate. I'm like, I just have my hands up. Like I'm just like this. Like you're gonna raise the ref's gonna raise my hand in like 20 seconds. So what's the difference? And I remember when I fought in Ventura, it was a total opposite. Like it's my hometown. Like I fought in front of my people, and I was actually like, okay, let me keep myself together. And then Martin, I think you know Martin.
Yeah,
Martin,
I know the whole crew.
He's like, get on the fucking cage, mate. I'm like, what? And he's like, you just won in front of your hometown. Get on the fucking cage. And I fucking went and I got on the cage, and I'm like, this feels so liberating, you know, because I got permission. It was fun, but you know, it's the commission's cool. I like the commission, you know. It's just like sometimes that happens, but like I said, the hood came out in me that one day. I was like, hey, it's my boy fighting. Like, hey, you only allow this many people. The fight's over, so you know, let me go in there and celebrate with him. And yeah, it almost cost him the win.
That's a pro wrestling.
I would have felt so bad. I would have felt so bad if my friend had won his pro debut, and because I wanted to get in the cage and celebrate with him, that they take it away. So I was so relieved when that kind of died down, because I'm like, I'm sorry, they still bring it up. Did I remember that time you almost cost Frank the win, or you caused Turtle the win? I'm like, yeah, I remember. They'll make fun of me. They'll still be like, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't even know who you are. So they still bring it up. It's funny.
Well, I mean, that's pro wrestling as fuck, right? Like, you know, you fuck around too much, and then the ref will fucking take away the win. Like that shit happened to Hulk Hogan in fact, like in 1987 or something. You know, like. So I'm just saying. But I mean, you spoke about, you know, obviously, you know, Turtle Estrada, his big brother Froggy Estrada, and the synergy of not just within your camp at West Coast Jiu-Jitsu, you know, obviously under Brian, who's fucking tremendous. That's a good brother right there, Brian Espinosa. But you know, like, talk to us about the courses, because I mean, it is something that it's kind of like ventured out, not just beyond, like it's beyond the gym, right? You've got like, you know, Shane Marveau, who, you know, is there with you guys, you know, like in the trenches with you and getting you guys ready for battle. Yeah, Travis Galmont, Nick Daly, like Rivera are there as well. So talk to us about the, you know, the closeness that you guys share.
We're close, man. It's like a family. Like like I have a weird like perspective when it comes to that. Like people that help prepare me for war, people that I help prepare for their wars, or people that I even share the octagon with in war. I feel like such a close connection to them. Even past opponents that I see sometimes, like I feel so connected to them. And the ones that I lost to in decision, I still feel connected to them, even though I'm still salty and on the salty crew and bitter. I I still feel like I have that respect. Like we're close because we share that cage, and I think like us is an example of that. Like we're really close. Like we don't get along all the time. We have our differences. Like there's been times where we don't see eye to eye, and we feel like like at the end of it, when things get patched up, we're like, damn, like for us to really get that worked up and or feel so strongly about one another, that just only shows how close we are. So we're close, we're a close bunch, man. It's great. Like Coach Brian, I just talked to him today, and we had a long conversation. It's it's fun to be around these kind of people, like uh, Coach Brian. I love the way he teaches jujitsu. He calls it asshole jujitsu, where it's like jujitsu is already like pretty mean, but like how to do stuff that's legal, but just freaking piss off your opponent, like when you're on top of him, like digging his freaking ribs, or just it. He has like really good technique, and he puts everything really well together, and on my other team, Team Knuckleheads, Chia's fighting tonight, so go Chia. I'm
Yeah.
was fighting Josecito Lopez, so that's a big deal. And I see him, all the time. I talked to him a few weeks ago, or maybe like a month ago, but we talked, and we talked for a long time, like about fighting, about philosophy, about our personal lives. Like it's we're all like pretty close, and um we had bad news like a couple weeks ago. One of our teammates, Walter, he passed away. Yeah, he had a tough battle and health issues, and he passed. So I felt like that too. Like I see everybody posting about him, and that too reminded me like how close we really are as teams, and it's an awesome thing, to have this kind of relationship. Like who would have thought that somebody that punches you and kicks you in the face and knees you in the face and tries to break your arm in submissions, like that they're your friends. Like I had to get surgery because one of my friends tore my shit. So and I see him and I'm like, hey, what's up? But like nothing changed, like why am I gonna hate on you? Why am I gonna be mad? So it's like a family relationship, man. It's really good, and I built a good connection with everybody. I tutor Coach Brian's kids 3 times a week. I work with them on their language arts and their reading, and they both gotten their reading levels like way up. Like they were behind, and now they're ahead. We're reading like the Kobe books, and it's like 4th through 12th grade, so they're being introduced to words and terminologies and stuff that are far beyond their age. But I'm there helping them, like some words, I'll stop and help them figure things out. But yeah, like I'm helping, I'm involved with that too. Like, and they feel like I feel like their family too. Like those little kids, I'm so invested in their education. I feel like they're my little brothers or my little cousins. So yeah, man, it's awesome to have close relationships, and it wasn't always like that. So I'm happy and I'm blessed to have the relationships I have with the people I have them with.
Yeah, no, 100%. And my condolences to you guys at the gym and Walter's family, because I mean, yours crazy, but when you take a loss of a loved one, that's like next level shit.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like when he passed, I thought about him and the memories I had with him, and I remember when I beat Benji in Ventura. Like everybody was so happy. Like I like we had a few teammates fight on the card, and I felt like nobody really, I mean, they cared, but I feel like in comparison, they were like, you gotta beat up Benji. Like everybody's like, you gotta beat up Benji. And once I won, he was like, man, you did it. Like, and that memory kept replaying in my head. It was really, really emotional. But at the end of it, I'm like, damn, I'm glad that I shared that moment with him. You know, that I made him happy, that I made him proud, and you know, just doing what I love made him happy and proud, and you know, and so it was at the end, it just made me feel better to have known him, you know, and to have shared those moments, you know, at the gym and there at the venue when I had fought. So yeah, death is a trippy thing, man, but the memories live on, and you know, like we move on, I guess, you know, it's just how life goes.
Yeah, and the impact that you leave, you know, is, I guess, transcendent, and then, you know, it's I kind of thought about that because yesterday we were kind of talking off air, but yesterday was like the 7th anniversary of my mom passing away, and I, you know, as much as it is my dream, it is absolutely my dream to be doing this and broadcasting and what have you, but it's also her dream, right? And I was so like, because a lot of people didn't see what she did. Like, I mean, she would basically like run the board. She worked for like City Hall in Inglewood, and she would like run the boards and the control systems and everything like that. But nobody saw it, right? So for me to kind of make good on her legacy, to make good on even my grandfather, well, her dad's legacy of being like the first like Fijian-born broadcaster, even my uncle, like her brother, my grandfather's son, started the Fiji Post in like 1987, which was like the first ever like non-governmental, like independent Fiji newspaper. Right, so it's because of all of that stuff. I feel like I have to do here, you know, and leave a legacy for not just them because I'm the continuation of their legacy, but also to my kids because like to give them something to shoot for.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it perfectly. Like we continue the memory of their lives with our own. So you know, it's a hard thing to go through, but it's very important to always keep the memories alive. Like that movie Coco, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Is it just how it talks about death, something just so hard for people to accept and to you know come to terms with. It made it so beautiful. It made death such a beautiful idea, and the idea that you die a second death when people forget about you, forget your name, and that like made me really think about my own life and like what kind of legacy do I want to live or leave behind when I'm gone. And yeah, I mean it shows in our kids. Like your mom's legacy is showing in you, your legacy is gonna show through your kids, and so on and so forth. So you know, I'm glad that you realize that, you know, and that your mom's legacy is right now. I'm talking to your mom's legacy right now. So
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And Yasbeat says, "What's up, dude? Hope everybody's well. Just wanted to say, hey, what's up, Yas? He's a good brother right there. He's got his own YouTube show where he interviews people. So shout out to Yas.
nice. Yeah, man. So yeah, we were talking yesterday, and I wanted to go back because I remember well in all my interviews they asked like, oh, how'd you get into combat sports? And I tell the same story about when I started doing when I started doing MMA. That you know, I was graduated. I wanted to wrestle, and then but really combat sports like became a part of my life way well before that. So yeah, I was like, I need to clarify that and make that correction. So um, I was in 5th grade and I had gotten in my first fight, and the guy was like, he was related to a boxer, local boxer. I think it might have been Vargas, I don't know, but he was related to a boxer. I didn't know that, but the kid pissed me off, and we were playing kickball, he was talking smack, so I stood up to him, you know, and we got in a fight. I remember getting cracked. I got lit up. Like the first punch he landed on me, I was like, oh shit. But I didn't stop coming at him until they like split it up and they're like, oh, it is what it is. I mean, I got my licks in, but I went to the bathroom and I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding, and you know, like I'm like, oh, everybody thinks I got fucked. I went home and my dad figured it out, and he's like, I'm gonna put you in boxing, you and your brother in boxing. So he put us in boxing. I was in 5th grade, or it might have been like going into 6th grade. So we did boxing for a bit. Then my dad ended up buying like a boxing stand and at home. So we did boxing for several months. But yeah, I got into boxing, you know, in junior or in elementary/junior high. I stopped doing it, but you know when you go to junior high, like things change. You know, like they're not little kids anymore. Now you're tweens and teenagers and being in gangs and repping your set and all this stuff became like priority for men, for all the males. And I remember being put to. I was watching people go body blows, and I was just part of the crowd, man. And then they pulled me in. They're like, "Hey, you go," and they had me with one of my friends. And I remember me going, me and him going at it, and I got props then. A year later, guy was talking about my mom while we were playing basketball, and I got in a fight then. So like in junior high, like I kind of built somewhat of a reputation because I had gotten in a couple fights, and yeah. But like I said, I wasn't a confrontational person. I was just like, if you disrespected me or something, like my mom always taught me like to be humble, but if somebody pushes you, like speak up for yourself. You don't have to hit them. You don't have to do nothing. Just speak up for yourself. So a lot of the times that's how it happened. Like I would speak up for myself, and it'd be like, "Oh, so what? What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to fight, but I guess." You know. And yeah, so junior high went like that for me, and in high school, even more dramatic. Like, where you from? Who you with? And I had a lot of friends that were cholos. Like I grew up in that culture. Like you know, if you see my parents, you'll know why. But you know, like all my friends ended up being cholos. All my friends from like kindergarten and pre-kinder, like they were all in that life. And I remember joining wrestling by accident. Like I wanted to play football, but I was 5 feet and 140 pounds. Like they wanted me to grow taller, which was, I mean, how are you gonna tell somebody to grow taller? And they wanted me to gain weight, like to be 160. And I signed up for weightlifting. Ended up being wrestling class. Like they led me into it, and the coach at the time, my first day, he was like, Reyes is gonna be a stud. Like, because I had drilled a move, and I'm like, like I have people over here like don't want to start me, don't want to put me in the game because I'm not the right size. Like I was a hard hitter, and I could tackle, but I didn't have the size. So I'm like, well, do I stick this out where I know I'm not gonna have a professional career, or do I do? I didn't even think of wrestling as a professional career, but I thought I could actually have potential to be great. So I did that, and you know, wrestling changed my life. Like Hell Week for football, I had done several years of football, and Hell Week in football was nothing compared to my first wrestling practice. I live across the street from Wainimi High School, literally like 500 yards away from the front of the school, and I had to call my mom to pick me up. I'm like, Mom, can you pick? I couldn't breathe. I'm like, Mom. She's like, what, baby, what? I'm like, pick me up. And she's like, what's good? What happened? Just pick me up. I went home, and she picked me up, and then I went and took like a cold shower, and I was just like, I felt like crap. But it was I was addicted, and I feel like you know, I had already done boxing. I already had my street fights, and I had some introduction to combat sports, but I felt like wrestling is what really set the tone because it was so hard. Like, and our coaches and my teammates, they were hard on me. Like they kicked my ass. They beat me. You know, literally beat me up. Like I didn't want to go to practice a lot of the times, like mentally too. Like they would pick on us and haze us, and nowadays you can't do any of that. But in the long run, I feel like that made me stronger as a competitor because I had gone through that adversity, not just on the mat, but in the gym, with my teammates. And like I said, like wrestling, I was just so addicted. I did I did all 4 years. I did freestyle and Greco in the off season, and those were lit. Like I would sign up for 2 or 3 different weight classes in Greco, freestyle, and collegiate if they had it, and I would have like 10 to 12 matches a day. Literally like wrestle and then you got another one. Wrestle and then okay, here you're on mat 6, and then I would win a finals in one division and then have to wrestle again in another division. So it was hard. It was really hard, but it made me so hungry. It made me so passionate, and like my thing was suplexes. I love suplexes. I love throwing people. I had so much fun throwing people and hurting people. Like that's what I think like kind of set me up for fighting. And I think that's where Malicious comes from. Because once I got it down, I wanted to beat you up. Like I wanted to suplex you and throw you on your head. I remember I suplexed one guy and he did like a full front flip. It was belly to belly. So I threw him over. He does a front flip, lands on his ankle wrong, and like breaks his ankle. I'm like, oh, crap! Like, and he landed on his dome too. Like, so he went from head to feet and it rolled his ankle on the landing. He did a full front flip, and yeah, I was like, damn. I remember that same tournament. I went in the open division. I was still in high school, and open divisions, all ages. So you could be with permission. Like you could be from this. I was already 18, so I remember wrestling coaches. I was wrestling like Santa Paula coaches and like Ventura coaches and people that were refs already. I was wrestling with them and beating them up. Like I was a kid. I was smashing them. But so like that really built Malicious. Like that really built like my mentality and my approach to competing. Like one of my freshman year, Coach Jackson, he was a coach and he told me, he's like, it doesn't matter or he didn't tell me, he told all of us. He's like, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. What matters is you hurt the guy. He goes, I could fucking lose a match by 2 points, 5 points, 10 points, but if I see this motherfucking limping off the I'm all fucked up. He's like, I'll be happy with that. So like that just made it so raw to me, like combat sports. It made it so raw. I'm like, yeah, that does matter. Like, who cares about points if the guy's hurt? Like, if the guy's beat mentally and physically and emotionally, like, what does it matter what the scoreboard says? Like, most of the time when you beat him that way, you're the one winning. So I'm like, it's a good philosophy to live by. And I also live by, like, wrestling is just so important. I live by another philosophy that Coach Thomas instilled in me that was get comfortable being uncomfortable. What the fuck does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. As an oxymoron, get comfortable being uncomfortable, huh? How did I do that? But I posted that yesterday. Like I went to the beach and when it was cold and windy and I took my shirt off, took my sweatpants off, I was freezing and I went in the water. And I posted that, I'm like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's just like, it's a moniker that just plays in my head when I'm facing adversity. It's like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I had so many good wrestling coaches. Coach Ralph from Wainimi, he always made me believe in myself. Always. Like, even when I sucked, my sophomore year was my first year of varsity. I got my ass whooped so many times. And he was just like, keep at it. Like, you're going to be great. You're going to be great. And I remember when I graduated, I got the MVP and he cried, like giving me the award. And he said so many nice things. And I don't know if it was that speech or like soon after we had a conversation. And he had said, he goes, Michael, there's something that like really impresses me about you. And he goes, there's some wrestlers that you teach them a move once and they have it. Like, they're just naturally gifted. They were made to do that move. That move was made for them. And he goes, and there's you. who has to do the move 1,000 times in order to get it. He goes, but I tell you what, he goes, that person that got it the first time, he's not going to know how hard it was to get it. And he's not going to know the value of hard work. He goes, whereas you work your butt off. You weren't supposed to be good at this, but you kept pushing and pushing. He goes, that says so much more about you. So like those things, like I said, they play in my head all the time. Like what they said. I had other coaches like Coach Barragon and Coach Al who beat me mentally. Like they would make fun of us. They would talk trash and like, you know, we'd get our butt whooped and they'd be like, get your ass whooped. You know, like just they were really honest, really straightforward, and they weren't doing it just to be mean or nothing. But when I look back at that now, I'm like, damn, that made me strong. Like it made me so strong because I had to not only fight on the mat, but I had to fight in my head. I had to fight at home, and yeah. So my wrestling really was like what made me who I am. Like I run sometimes, and I think I'm like, damn, what would my 16-year-old self say? And I was at the beach yesterday, and I remember in high school, I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and run to the beach, go back home, get ready for school, and go to school. And I'm like, what would I say to myself, or you know, like how would I be? And I'm like, damn, like that kid was so hungry. That kid was like, didn't even know what he was getting himself into, but he was going hard. And so I constantly remind myself of my 16-year-old self, and I'm like, fuck, like don't be the opposite. Don't be like if I were to go back and look at that and be like, damn, like I really worked hard as a kid and I kind of lost that. So it helps remind me where I come from, how hard I've worked. And yeah, I told you last time too, like I'm fucking angry, like I'm mad. Like when I fight people, I'm gonna be fucking malicious. Like I'm gonna fucking rip your head off. Like I'm gonna break your arm before you have a chance to tap. I'm gonna face crank you until you fucking I hear a pop, you know, and or like I said, like the ref's gonna be your only source of mercy. So yeah, I feel like that all came from wrestling. It all came from the mentality that I built there. It all came from the adversity I faced there, and it, like I said, those memories like live with me forever. Like I can't unsee or I can't unhear, or, you know, I can't undo any of the things that happened. And I was just so happy. I'm just so happy when I look back at that and realize like how hard I worked and how hard I continue to work. And Adam, I mean, I'm gonna be 29. I've been wrestling since I was 14. More than half of my life I've been competing nonstop. I mean, I told you last time I had back-to-back surgeries, and I'm still here. I'm still training. I'm still aspiring to be the best. And you know, like I said, those monikers really helped me out because I told you last time too. There's days where I want to quit. I want to retire. Some days, somebody had told me about what I said about like having days where I just don't want to get off of bed and I feel like my life's not worth living. And they told me like, oh, I almost cried because, you know, like so many, me and my family, like, you know, we go through that kind of battle every day. And it's nice to hear that somebody even like you who has, you know, all this confidence, these things going for them also feels this way, you know, and I don't see it as an act of or a display of weakness. I see it as like to be able to realize your fears and your insecurities and to be able to attack them in your mind and confront them is, for me, that's strength. I mean, I see so many people that run away from who they are or run away from what they need to do in order to make their lives better. Or they just, you know, they're in denial. Whereas me, like I face the ugly truth, even though I don't want to see it. And it's like that every day. I have some days where I don't even think a bad thought, and there's some days where I can't even force myself to think a positive thought. Like it sucks. It sucks. And I don't take medication for it. I mean, I smoke weed every now and again when I need it. You know, I got my CBD and I do I do that as like an antidepressant, but I feel so bad for people that feel like they need to take pills and they need it every day, and that life gets hard, and like I said, like I have my days where I don't want to get off of bed, but I do, and I know there's people that don't at all, like for weeks, for months. Like I said, I love everybody. I honestly feel like everybody in the world, regardless of your religion, of your morals, your beliefs, your gender, your sexuality, whatever, like I feel like you are entitled to happiness just as much as I am. And I feel like I am entitled to happiness. So why would I feel like you're not? And and yeah, so it's really good to have heard that, like I thought for a second, I was like now people are gonna be like, damn, Michael's mentally weak. But when I heard that, I'm like, it took so much strength that I didn't really realize when I said it. But afterwards, I'm like, like admitting that you have insecurities and that you have problems that you deal with all the time, like I said, it's not nothing like a sign of weakness. It's the opposite. It's a sign of strength to admit that you have these things.
No, 1000%. I think it was the great pop culture philosopher Kelly Clarkson who said,
Mm,
"What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." So
yeah.
hashtag never forget.
Yeah,
Hashtag
I
never
study
forget.
I study all her works, all the Kelly Clarkson works.
Yeah. Since you've been gone. There we
Yeah,
go.
I listen to that on my way to the gym all the time.
Dude, I mean, it can be life. It can be life.
Yeah,
Now, Alexander Vallejo says, I love those duplexes. So
yeah, she
just
loves them.
dun, dun,
She,
dun.
yeah, I mean, me and her have been together for so long. Like I had graduated, and I was coaching at Wainimi. I would go coach for the freestyle and Greco season. She would always be there. Like I'd be like, hey, babe, like we can't hang out today. I'm gonna coach. She's like, I'll go. I'm like, really? You want to go? Wrestling room smell like sweat and balls and a bunch of men grappling each other. She's like, no, I'll go. And she used to love watching me teach. And I mean, that's another thing I love about her. Like she loves everything I love. Like, and I don't feel like I have to keep that separate from her. Even though like when we first started dating, she didn't go to a fight for like 2 or 3 years that we were dating, for the first 2 3 years, and then my mom had asked her like, are you going to his fight? And she's like, I don't know. And she looked at me, and I'm like, yes. And I guess we've been dating. I guess we've been dating long enough. And yeah, like, but like I said, I don't regret nothing. Like and we've talked about it too. Like I felt like like our relationship and fighting, I should have kept separate. That was my instinct, to keep them separate, because I feel like if I get emotional, or if, I have too much on my mind, or I'm thinking about her seeing me lose, or like that's just not gonna go well with me. So I kept her away. I kept her away for a long time, and then when she got involved, it was like she was made for it. Like she was made to be part of the journey. So I'm really grateful to have her, and that we have those memories from a long time ago. She was involved with wrestling, when we met, and I was already out of high school and stuff. So she,
Yeah,
she loves suplexes.
yeah.
I can back that up.
She's saying that she's waiting for that suplex KO, which, I
I
mean,
mean, it'll happen. It's gonna happen. I've,
no, but
I think like the thing about those things, because I've suplexed somebody and then they spring right back up. Like they landed on their dome and then they get back up. So it's like it don't really knock you out. So I'm trying to work on my technique, and just figure out a way to a way to do it that you just like kind of land on the spine, on the neck. I don't know, just puts you unconscious.
yeah, or that, what is it, that Kevin Randleman Fedor, fight in Pride, where even that didn't, kind of KO Fedor. It could have, should have, or no, was it Randleman or was it Rampage? I can't
I think it
remember.
was I think it was Randleman.
It was Randleman, right?
And a suplex too. I mean, Tito too had like, or not slams, but I mean not suplex, but slams, like the throws and picking somebody up. Like to me, that's the best. Like if you were to put me in a fight against myself, and if I were to suplex myself, I would quit. I would be like, damn, I just got suplex. Because when you get suplex, like your feet go over you. If you get suplex right, your feet go over your head. You're kind of out of it for that whole time you're in air. Like for most people, it's a millisecond, but for you, it's like an eternity. You're like floating and seeing yourself going over your head. And then you land hard with your weight and your opponent's weight on top of you, and you're kind of like, whoa. Because I've gotten suplex. I mean, like drilling in practice, but I remember as a sophomore, I got suplexed by a guy from Mexico, and it was the first match my so my dad's like, really supportive and like, oh, let's go, mijo. I want to see you do your thing. And I was already, getting my suplexes down, so I was getting more confident. This guy freaking within like 20 seconds fucking wraps my waist and throws me. And I remember like I was just out of it. Like the rest of the tournament, I had to fight what had happened. Like I had to like, okay, let's move on from here and win the matches, because like I said, I was in different divisions and stuff. I'm like, okay, I lost that one. Now I gotta make sure I come back and win medals. So being suplexed is not fun. I mean, I'd rather get cracked in the face than get suplexed, to be honest, So yeah, suplexes are nice, man. I really want to get one.
Yeah, those are. I mean, I remember that when I first started doing jiu-jitsu in Bakersfield, and it was under the tutelage of John Jock black belts. They were husband and wife, Matt and Joe Baker, and they're both John Jock black belts. And this gal, she like we were loading takedowns and everything like that, and then we were left to kind of freestyle, right? And I remember it's like, okay, I'm gonna, and she was like maybe 140 pounds or whatever. I was a lot bigger, over the 200-pound mark, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play nice, whatever. Literally, she grabs a hold of my waist, I go flying, and the thing about it, I land right at the feet of my wife. Like my wife was sitting on the benches, and I bounced. My body just like bounced, and I land at her feet. Now that female, I mean, if there's any sort of solace that comes, that female is none other than the raging panda, Julia Avila, who's now in the UFC. So I mean, there's a little bit there, but again, that just shows like when wrestling happens, like, and especially there's nothing more, like you said, you rather get KO'd than getting slammed, because again, like the fact that everything in your body, right, you cannot stop what's going to happen, and know what's going to happen. Like your body is going to unceremoniously hit the mat, and it's not going to feel good, and at that point when your body hits the mat, you're just kind of assessing, like, can I feel my legs? Like, do I have a tingling in my my fingertips? Like, like you're trying to mitigate the damage, but damage is going to happen. You can't walk away from a slam unscathed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that suplex KO would be hard, but like you said, that moment after, and that's what I really like envision and I work on. It's like picking them up and throwing them. And once they're like kind of trying to recollect, like bam, 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 going hard, because like you can get 3-4 shots in by the time they realize what's going on, and then by the time they realize what's going on, it's probably already too late. Like their minds go in a different spot because they're getting rocked. So I mean, I wouldn't count it as a suplex KO, but I mean, off of a KO, I mean that would be good for me too. Yeah. One day.
You got to put those, shoot for the moon. Even if you land short, you land amongst the stars. That's one of my favorite sayings. Now, one thing that I want to ask, right? Because we were talking about obviously, the different states of psychosis and your mental acumen and even smoking weed as a, kind of like a deterrent from all of the thoughts, right? Like as an antidepressant. Now, obviously, in Oregon, they pretty much like regulated everything, like everything. It's all willy nilly, and then we've had people such as Dan Hardy, Rashad Evans, and somebody that you have drawn inspiration from, uh, Uncle Creepy, Ian McCall, all do like psychedelics to kind of help that. And there's actually a real sports uh, piece on like HBO with Brian Dunham, which basically said, that psychedelics will help in terms of like brain trauma. It's been proven to, help people with PTSD that have been in the military. Obviously, PTSD is not just on the war field. I mean, anybody that has any type of, brain trauma, whether you hit your head or you're in a fight, it can rattle some brains. So, what are your thoughts in terms of like the introduction of it?
It's awesome, man. I spoke with several people who asked me when I got hurt, or over the last 2 years, like, and referred it to me. They're like, have you tried microdosing? Have you tried shrooms? And I remember in high school, I had some friends do it, and like one of them ended up stripping naked and running around. So like my idea of mushrooms, like, is like, I don't want to lose my mind, I that's not for me. But these people that I spoke with, like, I have so much respect for, and they told me that, like, they're like, maybe you should try it, it'll help. And me and Alex had done like so much research on that stuff, like, because we had seen that it's been around for years, the studies about the psychedelics and how much they improve. And I my own anxieties and my own depressions, and there. I mean, a few months ago, I was in a really, really bad spot, like really bad. Like I said, like I didn't feel like my life was worth living, and it was a point where I had to make a decision. Like, I was gonna go back on medication, on pills. Well, I mean, I'd never really been on them, but they prescribed it to me before. So I was gonna go back and ask them for pills. Then Alex was like, "Well, why don't you try microdosing?" So I've tried it, and it's been so awesome. I'm gonna take a couple months off and just kind of reassess myself and my life, but it really changed my life. Like, the way my perspective really changed, like the way I live my life, and like, I mean, it shows right now in our conversations, because I was never grateful. I was always just worried about how far the top of the mountain was, like how much I had to climb, and just like being like demoralized because of how hard it was going to be. And once I started microdosing, I was grateful for everything. I woke up in the morning grateful that my eyes could open, grateful that I had air in my lungs. I would call my grandparents or my mom or speak with them, and I'd be so grateful to hear them and to have them in my life. I would see Alex and I would just smile, like, she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, it's a shroom tech. That's what I call it. It's a shroom tech it's I'm just really happy. And then it's not the days that I microdose, but it's the days in between, after, that I really start to like, they're better. Those days are better. Like, I feel like I'm more critical on the days I microdose. Like, I'm really thinking negative, positive, both. Even though I'm really grateful, I'm still thinking back and forth. But the days following, I don't have any bad thoughts. Like, or if I do, they get drowned out by the positive feelings and the positive thoughts. And yeah, like I said, it really changed my life. I've told several people, because I know there's a stigma, and like, even me admitting that I smoke weed and that I've done microdosing and mushrooms and psychedelics, like, people will be like, man, he's not a person that I want my kids to revere. It's not a person that you should look up to. But really, like, I realized so much more about myself, and so much positive change, that I don't really care what other people think. Like that's why I've told them like, I started microdosing and it's changed my life. And there's been several people like, oh man, well, I need to do that too. And people have opened up to me about their own anxieties and depressions. And I'm like, if I could help anybody by just speaking up, because like, why I'm gonna be a little bitch and not man up to what I do or what I feel or what I believe just because I'm afraid that they're gonna think I'm a horrible role model. Like I'm so like I said, grateful. I'm just so grateful to be able to grow like that as a person at the time in my life. Because like I said, I'm so grateful, but at the same time, I criticize myself and I see the habits, the bad habits that I have mentally. Like my mentality, I have bad habits when it comes to dieting. Because dieting all the time, especially when you don't have a fight, it's hard. I've improved that. I was more confrontational and now I know how to calm myself down. I know how to get my own space and relax. Um, my family, like I feel so much closer to them. Like when I speak to them, I'm so happy. I thank God every morning that they're alive. Like man, yeah, like it really was a pivot point for my life and a new chapter, and I'm really happy. And like I said, I don't have shame in telling you or telling anybody, because if I could say it and there's 10 people that say I'm garbage and I'm a piece of shit, and there's one person that's like, oh well, I'm depressed all the time, like I feel like killing myself, let me try this, and it helps them out, like it'll all be worth it for me. Like and if they, whether or not they reach out to me and tell me like, hey, you saved my life, or hey, that idea really changed the way I see my life, like I don't care. I mean, I don't it's not like I look for that. I look for that what is it, like for people to approve or
like gratification.
the gratification. Like I don't care about the gratification or like that. I really care about people being happy, and like if I can help you out by telling you, that I found a way to find help and it wasn't through pharmaceutical drugs, like then I'll tell you, because pharmaceutical drugs are poison. They're the worst things a person could do. And what sucks is that you go to the doctor and they're like, here are these pills. I told the doctor I was sad in 2011. I told them I'm sad. I don't feel like laughing and don't want to get off of bed. They're like, oh, yeah, that's anxiety, depression. Here's this prescription for Xanax. Here's this prescription for Zoloft. Here you go. I'm like, really? Like, and at the time, people were popping Xannies. People were taking these stuff recreationally. So I'm like, this is a street drug, and all of them are street drugs now. Like, I had so many friends. I have friends that I knew from wrestling, from junior high, and like I said, I had a lot of cholo friends. Like got into that a bad path, and they started with oxys, and then now I see them, they're strung out on heroin. Fucked up. Like I understand life's hard, and we all have our ways of coping and dealing with it, but I just don't feel like prescription drugs provide a solution. I think they present more problems than solutions. So like I said, this stuff is natural. Weed's natural. Like mushrooms are natural, like, and science backs it up. So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I believe that too. And Pius Voodoo Maximus has
what's up, Pius?
Yeah, man. Yeah, Voodoo, and we do a show together, Voodoo in the Woods.
Voodoo in the Woods, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, so listen, anytime you want to jump on, like let's do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, I like talking. I like shooting shit, serious things, non-serious things, laughing. Like I like I said, the more I've done this line of work, the more I've realized what sets me apart from other people. What sets the champion apart from a competitor. and like this, like I've gotten so comfortable, you know, chopping it up. Like, you know, we've known each other for a long time. I consider you a really good friend. Alex was actually telling me about when I lost my last decision loss, and she was like a wreck. She couldn't hold it. She's really strong. She'll hide her emotions for my benefit. And she couldn't hold it. And she said that you had gone and followed her, and that you went to her and you consoled her. And I was like, damn, like he's such a good person. And yeah, and like I said, the more I do this and the more I get to know people, the more comfortable. Like I feel like I'm just FaceTiming a friend right now. And eventually, like when I go on these shows or when I'm doing all this media obligations, that's exactly how I want to feel. Like I'm just talking at him, you know. Like I'm gonna put your head on all. Yeah, you seen the Water Boy where he sees
yes, and the
coach saying that water sucks. That's how it will be. Like every question's gonna be in your voice with your dome on top of them. But yeah, I mean it's I like it. I like doing this, and like I said, it separates champions from competitors because there's people like, why you gotta force me to do these things? I don't want to do them. I'm cutting weight, or like, dude, this is for your own benefit. Like, you know, like people get mad when promoters don't get behind them enough, but and you want all this pay, but at the same time, you're not willing to do the work that really matters. Like at the end of the day, what matters is how many asses you're putting in those seats, or how many eyes are going to be glued to the TV. And if you're not putting in the work to market yourself, then why are you expecting a big payday? You know, so like I said, like things that separate champions from competitors. You know, I embrace this stuff. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. It's taken me 10 plus years to kind of figure out something I heard as a kid, but it's true to this day. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm, like I told you, I was nervous to do the interview, but I was comfortable being uncomfortable, and then it didn't even look like I was uncomfortable. So it's and I would so be willing to do that because like I said, you're good people. Like Pius is good people, and I like to have conversations. Like I love watching podcasts and stuff because like people's opinions and like just joking around. Like I watched the Joe Rogan podcast. I watched the Andrew Schultz, the Brilliant Idiots, and the Flagrant 2. Like I watch that stuff because they're so funny. They're just a bunch of friends chopping it up about a bunch of topics that, I mean, a lot of them are ones that we can all talk about, but some of them are hard topics that nobody wants to talk about. Exactly. And it makes life so much more fulfilling. Perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like other people's opinions and I agree with or I disagree with, it puts everything into a different perspective. So I like doing that stuff. I like what you do, and I would like to do, you know, with you and Pius. So sounds like fun.
Yeah, let's fucking go. So Voodoo, you know what to do. We're gonna fucking get at those DMs. And you're supposed to be, but Alexander says, Adam's man. No, like you guys are, because the fact that you guys are happy together, and that's the thing, you know. Like I know that she's strong. Like you know, like I know you guys. Like, and the thing about it is like, how can I see you guys really going through suffering if you guys are in my community and not do shit about it? You know, so if I can say something, and it's not even like, you know, it's again like I like recognizing it, you know, each other's pain, and if we can help. Just like maybe like a microdose, right? Like an incremental amount. Well, it's like, you know, the story about the crow. I think it's a bird that wanted to get the water, and basically the water was in the pot, and the crow started dropping pebbles. And then the water would rise, and then the bird was able to get the water because you put the pebbles, right? So that's it. And you guys are my community. Like you didn't have to do this. Froggy has to do it. The 200 some odd people that I've interviewed, and probably more than that over the course of the past 4 years, You guys didn't have to share your stories with me. Not at all. But the thing about it is you chose to. So that's, you guys are in my community. So if my community is not good and you're not good, like, let's figure out a way to fucking fix this, because like I cannot leave a situation with you not being good, especially since you're one of the very first fucking guys that ever do that promo, like you and Froggy and Ghost Pepper and Heinrich and Daniel Rodriguez. Like, if not for you guys, and if not for Bosin, if not for like Steve Romero from Fight Me, I don't think I would be here. So I'm not gonna let you fall. Never.
Yeah, bro. And like, hopefully one day, when everything's said and done, people look back at this interview like, holy shit, like, or when I see Connor and and they put like interviews from when he was way younger and like just speaking on his confidence and speaking and like showing himself, like it really helps to like kind of see that it's not fake. Like it's not just a egotistical or like an actor. Like he's really confident. He really believes in himself. He really believes he can be great. And I respect that about him. I mean, I think he's a douche, but I also think he's a really smart businessman. And I say that I think he's a douche because of what he does to sell fights. But I could meet the guy tomorrow and be like, dude, like everything I thought about Connor was totally wrong. Like he's such a good guy. But all we see is, like you see the performance and stuff. Some things are fake or exaggerated because of marketability and when money is involved. But a lot of the things are real. That's really who they are as a person. So like when I see that stuff, I'm like, oh, we find out. So maybe one day, like I said, when things are said and done, people look back and be like, oh, Mike really wasn't acting. He wasn't really trying to tell us what we want to hear or just try to be marketable and likable. Like I'm really genuinely me, whether you like me or whether you hate me. Like either way, I'm fine. I just care about me and mine, and that you're happy. Like if you're unhappy with what I do with my life, like I can't fix that, so, but I still want you to be happy. So, it's one day people are gonna look back at this and be like, damn, like, I get to know Mike outside of the cage,
And that's it, just bearing your soul, because you bear you active, mixed martial artists, like you show yourself in many ways. You express yourself in the cage, right? But there's so much more. Like the cage might be 75%, right? Or even at that moment, it's 100% of what the fuck you're doing, right? The 6 to 8 weeks to prepare, it is 100% all of you, right? Like you would fucking sacrifice friendships, you will sacrifice eating, like whatever the fuck you want to eat, because again, that your eye on the prize, that's the fucking goal. But once like all that shit is over, and I think that's one of the reasons why, like we have a Tito and Chuck tree, or like obviously Anderson Silva going, I don't know if I'm going to retire, right? Or like the reason why is because you don't know how to turn that off, right? Like that 100% of fight, right? Well, to turn it off, like you could be successful in other things. You could read, you could write, you could have other business opportunities. But like, again, you just want to be about fight, and it's just like, to me, you're not giving everybody, the full kind of the theater of their human emotion, right? So that's why these things exist. I believe this is why these things exist, is because like to show that other side. Because again, you talking, I fucking thought about like 3 fucking different t-shirts for you to, go to sell and shit like that, but it's those things, because like fighting, just fighting, right? If Dana White can tell Curtis Blades when Daniel Cormier, defeated Stipe the first time, and Brock Lesnar pushes him, and then Curtis Blades was all like, oh, I'm a legit martial artist. Why am I not getting a title shot? I'm like, yeah. And Dana White straight out called him on his bluff and said, you know what, like being a fucking like just a good martial artist would be? Fucking teaching judo at the local strip mall to 5-year-olds. But that's not going to be a world champion. That's not what I'm looking for in a world
Yeah.
champion. So like it's other shit, it's the sizzle. If you're ready for me to steak, like all of us media people, all of us like whatever, we're supposed to give you the sizzle, like to kind of make sure people know who you are and you guys feel comfortable with us.
Yeah, and like you said, like character shows so much character, but people don't get a chance to see it. Uh, like one example of like of my mental toughness and my commitment and just like who I am as a person. It was my first Combate fight. I had left the first coach that I had. He was actually like my first freshman wrestling coach, and then he was my first MMA coach for 5 years. And things were so ugly. Like it was horrible. Like I left like 2 weeks before my fight. I fought Shy Lindsay, who was 3-0, and I got my ass whooped in the first round. I came at him hard. I went in there, like I said, like that balance was hard for me. Like the Malicious and Michael, like it was hard. I just went in there emotional, pissed, just wanted to take his head off, and I gassed myself out. I literally threw everything at him but the kitchen sink. Like I still give him props. Like I should have knocked him out, but he's a Hawaiian. Like he was tough. I couldn't put him away. And then once I gassed out, he just picked me apart. Like within a minute, and I was done. So it was a hard, and then I left, went to Huntington Beach, came back. Combate had already offered me a fight. I was like, nah, and because I wasn't ready. And then they messaged me again, like, you take a fight. Alex was like, this opportunity might not come again.
Yeah.
And so I took it. I was 44 pounds overweight. I was over 170 pounds. Okay, so like so much shit had gone on. Like I left my coach. I lost my first professional fight. I went to Huntington Beach to train, and a couple months being there, I got hurt. So I was working and hurt, and I was getting more hurt working, but I had to survive out there. And then on February 28th, I got a call that my grandpa was in the ICU, and my grandfather's like a father to me, so I left. I left, and I was just so emotional. I didn't want to lose him, and all this like happened like consecutively, like so. And I took the fight. I lost 44 pounds. I almost died making weight. Like I suffered so much. The night before the fight, I couldn't breathe. My throat was closed. Like I couldn't breathe at all. Woke Alex up. I'm like, Alex, I can't breathe. I was like struggling to breathe. I thought I was gonna die. And she's herself, so she does searches and looks at articles, and she's like, it's the oxygen. You don't have oxygen going to your brain. So she made me like a tea. I had chia seeds, and like felt better. But the day of the fight, my throat was still closed. I felt like crap. I lost 44 pounds in 20 days. Like I felt horrible. And, for a flyweight to lose 44 pounds, it's a lot of weight. So what I'm trying to say is that I went in the cage and I lost. But that memory it's so important to me because it tells me what kind of person I am, what kind of competitor I am. Like I hate these guys that don't make weight, like that don't look like they're suffering, and they're like, I'm over 3 pounds in the UFC, in the highest level. These guys aren't making weight. I would die to make weight. I will die in the cage. I'll die to make weight just to show how professional I am. That shows my professionalism, my heart to fight after feeling like I was gonna die the night before. Like I'm telling you, Adam, like I was literally thinking it was my last day on earth. Like I couldn't breathe. And I got over that, and I still hopped in the cage the next day, and I mean, shit, it was a hard time, but like after that, like I just stayed with Combate and I put in the work. So when they talk to me about like they acknowledge my commitment to them and what I've done for them. But I remind them that first fight I had with you guys, I nearly died for you guys. I nearly died for the show to go on, and I lost. But it was just to plant a seed, like you said. Like I planted a seed. They called me back. I fought again. They loved me. I know one of their investors, Joe Palmieri. My girl Alex was there cage side, and as soon as I won, I don't remember what fight it was, but as soon as I won, they're like, he was so happy, and then they had announced my name. He's looking at Campbell, and he goes, "You didn't tell me there's a Malicious Mike." Like, and like so when I see him, I'm like, "Hey, it's me, Malicious Mike." Last time, like we wore a similar colored. His tie was like a similar color to my blazer, so I'm like, hey, we're matching, So I've met great people, like and with the company, like I said, they keep me relevant, which is nice. Like I'm getting more comfortable doing this sort of thing, these media obligations. Like I've seen people in combates who have fought elsewhere, fought for LFA, fought for Bellator, big promotions that go there and they look like a fish out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Of the professionalism with their cameras, with their media, their interviews and stuff, and they're like, especially like when they're from Mexico or like another country, their fights are totally different than out here. Like the market is way different here than out there. They're like, I don't want to talk, I don't want to say nothing. So it's I'm glad I get these opportunities. I'm glad Combate's been behind me, and I hopefully one day Joe Palmieri will be behind me. Dude's balling, man. He could teach me how to build an empire, how to build a business, and it's like they say, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So yeah, so it'd be nice to get in touch with Mr. Palmieri, and I know he has a book and stuff. I wanna read it and figure out, like, pick his brain apart. Like I said, psychology is very important to me. It's very near and dear to me. So it'd be nice, man, to meet him. And like I said, Combates made that possible. I fist bumped Mario Lopez and Oscar De La Hoya because he was there. And like there was other actors and stuff that my family said that they were cheering and like, "Whoa, this guy's good." Like after I won, so I'm like, damn, like all this stuff is, it's all leading to the same place, man. Like I said, I'm realizing more what makes a champion, and like before I started microdosing, I was just thinking about like how far away I was, and now I'm like, I'm there, like I'm literally here, like I'm gonna fuck shit up when I come back. I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be angry. Like people are gonna think I'm possessed because of of the maliciousness that comes out in me, the monster that's on display when I fight, and we'll see where it goes from there. Like I could stay with Combate because I know they have the capital to keep me around, keep me happy, and I could build a legacy. And I love that. Like I said, like I was saying in another interview that like they market the Latino and Hispanic heart. Like we're skilled. We're skilled too, but we'll fucking die. Like I said, we'll die in there. We have that warrior spirit. Like we'll die in there. So I like that, and I like fighting people with that. Well, I mean, I assume they have that mentality, or at least they're just trying to act like they have it. But I like fighting that because it's like, okay, well, who's really the better warrior? Not the point fighter, not the. Like I said, we used to win by points. We're still skilled, but we all get after it. Most of the fights are people trying to get after it. So I would like to stay with them, build a legacy there, and then whatever it takes to fight the best. I know where the best are, and everybody knows the promotion that has the best fighters, and I'm willing to go there, but I don't want to go there and get paid crap and like have to start over and build something from scratch. I want to already, by the time I get to the UFC, I want to have a name. I want people to recognize me. You know, like who Ben Ashton, not a good example, but you know, like
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez, like, you know, by the time you get there, you're already known for being a beast, so you can ask for more money. You know, you can get what you feel you deserve. And like I said, people don't want to put in the work to get what they deserve. I feel like I go above and beyond to do it. Maybe I could post a little on social media, a little more on social media, but I mean, I feel like this, like I'm doing, like I don't have to do this, but I want to do it because it's in my best interest. So it's good, man. It's good to be here. Good to do this stuff, and good to be in the position that I'm at. Like I said, now I realize that I'm there. Like I thought I was so far from the top of the mountain. Like I'm feet away. I'm close. I can almost taste the ice on at the top of the mountain. Like I'm getting there, you know. And like I said, like I need to get back in the shape because all these from these surgeries. I need to keep my mentality growing, and by the time I'm there, I'm gonna come in and people are gonna be like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Because like I said, like I don't have the best of everything. Like I'm not training at a gym that everybody's like, oh, you're training there. People sleep on me, so you know, like I like that though. I when did I said it in a Combate interview like a couple weeks ago that I love being the underdog. I love when Alex will show me on Tapology or whatever where like the predictions. most of the time it's like 80% I'm gonna lose my last 3 fights that I've won. 2 of them being finishes. I was gonna lose by KO. Or I was I don't know, man. It's funny. It's to see that stuff to me because it's like, okay, like your opinion doesn't really matter. What matters is what I bring to the cage, and that only makes me happier. And I told the in the Combate interview that eventually I want to gamble on myself. Like it's not even gambling to me. Like, okay, you're gonna pay me like a couple $100K. I'll put $50K down for me. And if I'm an underdog, if I'm a 4-1 underdog, like I could bonus. So look, I'm embracing being the underdog. I love it. I want to be the underdog of as long as I can until people get a hint that I'm fucking them. You know, I'm obviously malicious for a reason. You know?
Yeah, real spit.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, there's been many of people that have helped you in your mindset and just supported the respect and the tenacity that you have. So let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Okay. Yeah. Let me start from the top. Thanks to God for allowing me to do this, for giving me the words that I feel were best, or that God feels were best. I put them into my head, and you know, like speaking. I want to thank my parents for always being behind me, always supporting me. My grandparents, I freaking love you guys. Like, mommy, papi, te quiero mucho. I think about them all the time. I think about their age and what I want to do, what I want them to see. They're a big inspiration for me. My grandparents, my siblings, who all have so much respect for me, more than I feel I deserve. Like they tell me all the time, like you inspire me, and you're this, and you're that. I'm like, no, I'm just your older brother. Just leave, like, stop jock riding, bro. Like just But I'm really grateful for that, and my brothers are doing really well in their lives. They got their lives together. They might not have always had it. Like we all grow up, we're all young, but they got it together, and I'm so proud. I'm so happy. Them, Alex, fucking love her to death, and I thank her so much for everything she's done and what she continues to do. And a lot of the times that I feel like giving up, she's the one that brings me out of the gutter. She pulls me up, and like I said, people only see the wins and the losses, but I have so many wins and losses in real life, and she helps me when I lose in real life. When I'm losing against myself, she helps me. So I'm really grateful for that. And we've seen hard times. We're gonna continue to see hard times, but us being together and staying strong as a relationship is always gonna be keep me grounded. And all my coaches, Coach Brian, like, thank you. He opened his gym up to me with open arms. And like I said, I had a coach before this, and Coach Brian does not like him at all. And we were at similar shows, and we'd be dogging out West Coast. And now I'm at West Coast. So, him and his wife, Alex, opened their arms to me, and they entrust me with their kids' education. So I'm really grateful for them. I'm really grateful for Coach Haas. Like, Coach Haas has been there since the beginning. I started out at Knuckleheads, even though I wasn't directly under Coach Haas. I was at Knuckleheads, and that happened. The coach I was with parted ways with Coach Haas, and I left. I came back, and I said, "Hey, Coach Haas, like, can you coach me?" Didn't even hesitate about it. And there's so many stories I could tell you about Coach Haas. Like, he's about like how to express how much he loves his fighters and how much he genuinely cares for them. Like, I'm really grateful to have him. Coach Travis has been helping me during this rehabilitation. So I've been doing PT and working out with Travis. So I've been going hard, and now we're going harder. I started drilling JiuJitsu again. So he's helping me with that. Like, he's just been there, and that makes that, to me, is something I can never repay. Coach Willard has always been there for me too. Like, I remember when I first came to West Coast, he was there and like hyping me up. I remember when my last loss too, when you went to go console Alex, he was consoling me. He told me, "Don't. Why are you crying? Why are you upset? Why?" He goes, "You won that fucking fight. Who cares what they think?" And I'm like, I care what they think. Like, I lost. And he's like, "You didn't lose." And like, that memory sticks out with me. And he's always supported me, always helped me out when I need him to. So, and all my teammates, including Frog, like, have always been there and helped me out, pushed me. Mentally, physically, sometimes emotionally. Like I said, we're like family. So, they push me in so many areas. All my friends, all my followers who tune in and who like my pictures, like, I need to get on a whole nother podcast so I can talk to you about Oxnard, man. Oxnard people are trippy, bro. Like, they don't want to see you succeed. They hate on you. Like, if you come out of here, they have a lot of people have a small town mentality. And they just want to see you suffer and stay in the same spot that you're in. Having that said, I have so many people that I grew up with and that I'm friends with that support me, that are always asking how I'm doing and what's up, when's your next fight, and I'm shy. Like, right now I'm really expressive, but I'm a shy person, and it might come across as me being stuck up, but I'm not. Like, if you talk to me, I'll talk back to you. Like, I'm not always the one to engage conversation. But the fact that people reach out to me, the fact that people like and see my stuff and the support that I have, I'm super grateful for it. Because like I said, I come from a place, and I realize this, that it's a place where people just don't want to see you move up. They just want to see you stay here. They want you to dig a hole and end up being your grave. Like, they don't want you to get somewhere in life that they're not. And it's sad, and I have big plans to eventually change that about where I grew up with, like, and change the mentality of the people that live here to think that everybody could do something great, not just me. Just because I had it mentally doesn't mean you guys can't attain that stuff too. And instead of just hating on people, let's just all help each other come up. So I really appreciate the people that show me love. Like, it means the world to me, and I can't express it enough, because like I said, the circumstances that you still show me love under, like, it makes it that much more powerful to me. So I like to thank all my fans, all my followers. I'm not gonna start going off on hats and give you a list of everybody that likes my pictures and my videos. But I mean, I see you, and I'm glad that you're interested in my journey. Uh, Let me see who else. Who else? Wright has always been there. Like that's why I have this mustache up here. My hair done up. Like Wright has been with me for a long time. Like they shot me so much product. Like I always have like a bunch of open pomade cans, and I just open them up because I have so many of them. Sometimes like I have friends that do their hair the same way. I'll give them a pomade, like, and I'm really grateful to have that power, I guess, to like kind of spread the love, and they've been with me forever. They send me care packages all the time, so I'm happy for Leroy. And right now, I don't have like um, persistent, continued sponsorship. So under these circumstances, for Leroy to have been there with me for so long and to continue to support me and show me love, I have people that work for the company that will message me. My boy Carlos, he messages me all the time, like supporting me from Leroy. So I'm really appreciate I really appreciate that stuff because right now I'm nobody. And eventually, when I'm somebody, everything's gonna come in all at once. I'm gonna get calls from so and so. Can you be an endorse or endorse this? Can you be a ambassador for this? And the way I see it now, and the way I feel like I should see it then, is like you guys weren't with me when I was shooting in the gym, so to speak. Like you guys weren't with me when I was struggling, like when I actually needed the help. You guys weren't there, and all of a sudden I'm somebody. Now you guys wanna, oh, let's give you a helping hand. I don't need your hand to help me. So like I I really appreciate the people that have been with me that didn't need to. Like I said, I'm nobody right now. I'm nothing. So for these people to support me and condone what I do and give me all these messages of like nice messages, sincere messages, it all helps right here. It all helps me feel like I am meant to be the person I want to be. So
No, you're exactly that. And shout out to Gilbert Lorena. He said that's my boy, and
that's my boy right there, Gilbert. Yeah. Yeah.
you're a true inspiration, Michael. Keep working, bro. So thank you,
He's
Gilbert.
he's a buddy, and his daughter's in softball, and he has her like on a Mamba mentality. She has like crazy mentality, crazy work ethic. I'm like, damn, like she's so much younger than I was when I started getting into combat sports. So I'm like, if you keep your mentality and she's already a confident young lady, like you keep that confidence, you keep that mentality, that work ethic, like it'll be good. And so my boy Gil, man, he's doing it up for his daughter. He loves Kobe too. So we bullshit and chop shit about like Kobe, how inspiring he was and stuff. So I feel like he's trying to put that Mamba mentality into her too.
I love it. I love it. And again, it's that each one type, mentality where like if you got it, you got to spread the love. So I love that. That's happening with you, my man. But for those who want to even further show love to the malicious one, Michael Reyes, where can they find you on social media?
I'm Michael Reyes 125 on Instagram. I believe it's the same on Twitter.
Yes.
But it's Michael Reyes on Facebook too. So just look me up, give me a request or follow or whatever, and like don't be afraid to message me. Like I said, I come across like in person as a really shy, and sometimes it might be like I'm stuck up or I think I'm too good, but I'm not. I'm a really humble guy, and like I could talk to people about anything. Like I'm not gonna get all egotistical. Sometimes I've gone up to like celebrities and stuff or other fighters. Actually, I don't want to call this person out, but I went up to a fighter and I was like, hey man, and me and Alex actually went up, and he just acted like, oh hey, what's up, like all stuck up, UFC fighter, like stuck up, like oh my god, like horrible, like dude, you deserve to get knocked out, with that kind of personality, like you don't deserve to be a champion. And there's people that I've met. I met Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and to me, like he was such a celebrity, like he's so huge, like I'll get into this in another conversation, but in high school, like his drugs was a part of my life. Um, really, really big part of my life. And reading about his battle with drug addiction, it helped me deal with what I was seeing in my life, with the people that were doing drugs in my life. So yeah, I saw him, and like I was starstruck, and I went up to him, and he was so easy to talk to. I told him that he got me through high school, and he was so happy. And I said, one day, sooner than later, you're gonna see me in the UFC, and hopefully you'll remember me. He goes, yeah, man, hopefully I will. I think I will. And yeah, like super nice guy. And
Yes, he is.
I understand like how people can get that misconception, like, oh, this person's gonna act this way because of who they are. I'm not that type of guy to fucking okay, yo, yeah, thanks. I'm not that type of guy. I'll be like, oh, thank you. Like, oh, you watch my fights. I'll be really grateful for the attention and the support that you give me. So give me a like, a follow, share, and like I'm here to stay. And hopefully you guys get to know me, and you guys eventually grow to like me, and like what I do.
Damn right. I have, and I know you guys will too. But Mike, thank you so much for joining us here, and not once but twice. Like you were so
Yeah.
game to do this again. Like I just appreciate you, not just as a fighter, but I mean as a person. Like again, you never had to do any of this and whatever. And every kind of iteration of my career, you've been like so down. So like I just appreciate the hell out of you, Alex, the whole West Coast team. Like you guys are just incredible, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before we take off again, my boy Chia's fighting tonight, so stay tuned. He's fighting Josecito Lopez. A lot of people know who that name is, so they're gonna get into a scrap, man. I want my boy Chia to bring out the dog in Josecito. I want him to take him into deep waters and display his heart, man, because the guy has a lot of heart. So I'll be watching. Let's go give him hell. And yeah, thank you again, man. Like I said, this stuff is getting more comfortable with me, and as much as you're grateful for me helping you out, I'm as grateful for you helping me out, man. 'Cause this is gonna be important one day to cementing my career, cementing who I am. Like, how am I gonna try to be a commentator if I've never spoken, or never had the pressure of doing something live like I'm doing right now? Like when you told me it was live, I got more nervous. I'm like, oh man, you can't edit this stuff out. Like people are gonna hear it. I don't want to come across as a douche, So it's hard.
Never,
It's hard to do
never.
these things. So I'm really grateful for you to give me the opportunity to grow as a person, as a fighter, man.
Well, we grow together, my man. But again, I appreciate the hell out of you. Just like over the years, you've just been a constant. I'm so grateful to call you friend. You're a part of my family. So let's ride this shit
Likewise,
together.
brother.
Like,
Likewise, and I love your shirt, man. I didn't comment on it the whole time, but Jimmy, Jimmy's the man.
yeah. Oh, and another shout out, like what I was wearing in the past interview was actually a retro Game Gear shirt done by none other than our mutual friend Ernie Franco. So you got to check out Retro
Oh,
Game
okay.
Gear. Yeah, he sent me a care package with shirts and shit like that. So I'm gonna shout out Ernie Franco and
Oh
Retro Gamer
yeah.
Gear. So shout out
All right. Yeah.
805 represent.
Hopefully. All right, brother.
All right. And again, thank you guys for joining us here. This has been According to Woods with Malicious Michael Reyes. And I mean, if you haven't already done so, we warmly encourage you to subscribe to According to Woods on both Facebook and YouTube. Michael, you're subscribed, right?
Yeah. I'm subscribed, man. Everybody else, hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that subscribe button. There's good conversations, good banter, good topics, man. Just follow and like I said, subscribe and watch.
Appreciate you, my man. But again, if you don't believe me or Malicious Mike, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but here's